It sure was great to see actual games played that we can evaluate and stats that we can dissect from week 1. Sure, not everything went as expected, as there were some surprise superstars, studs, and key injuries, but this is DFS, so we can immediately make adjustments as we get ready for week 2. This week I will have the first doubler stack of the season featuring 2 pass catches to hook to the QB. In order for this to successfully work when you use a high-priced group of players from one team, you will need the QB to throw at least 4 touchdown passes with a combined 3 touchdowns split out between your 2 receivers. There are a few teams that could accomplish this feat in week 2, but my focus will be on a team looking to shrug off an opening weekend loss. Note all salaries are from FanDuel, but stacks can be considered for any DFS site. So, with that, let's stack them up for week 2. Create optimal FanDuel lineups using our DFS lineup optimizer tool. Greater than QB Tom Brady knee $9,200 WR Brandon Cooks knee $7,900 T Rob Gronkowski knee $8,100 Stacking Tom Brady with one of his receivers will be a very common sight this week. However, pairing him with 2 high-priced receiving options will be less common and could pay big dividends. The Patriots are coming off a loss and have had over a week to prepare for their Week 2 matchup in New Orleans. Meanwhile, the Saints just played on Monday night, where they were lit up by Sam Bradford and a WRTE combination that posted 3 touchdowns. And while the Saints failed to get Adrian Peterson the ball in his return to Minnesota, don't expect Bill Belichick and Brady to forget that Brandon Cooks is returning to New Orleans to face his former team. Bring it back with Ted Ginn Jr. No $6,100 QB Aaron Rodgers GB $9,100 WR Davante Adams GB $6,700. There are 2 games on the Week 2 slate that have far and away the highest Vegas totals, the Patriots Saints and the Packers Falcons. While it is worth getting exposure to all 4 teams in GPPs, other than the Patriots stack, I prefer the Packers over the Falcons. Here is why: target distribution. The Falcons will feed the ball to Julio Jones with great frequency, which will help consolidate their fantasy production. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense will spread the ball around to a variety of receiving options. So, I rather have Rodgers so I get all of his production regardless of who he passes to, and bring it back with Jones to get the maximum fantasy points from the fewest players. Jordy Nelson will have to contend with Desmond Trufant, so look to choose one of the cheaper pass catches for Green Bay like Davante Adams. Bring it back with Julio Jones ATL $8,800 QB Ben Roethlisberger Pitt $8,000 WR Martavis Bryant Pitt $6,200. If you are looking to pivot away from the obvious games, then give the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger consideration. For all the talk about how bad Roethlisberger is on the road, how good he is at home doesn't get nearly as much hype. In 6 home games last season, he averaged 319 passing yards and 3.33 touchdown passes. He will face a Vikings defense that is solid against the pass but struggles against secondary receivers, putting Martavis Bryant in prime position for a big game. He only had 2 catches in the opener but received 6 targets in a game the Steelers led most of the way. Also, if you want more home-road splits, Bryant has produced much better at home in his career, averaging 70.9 yards and 0.92 touchdowns per game. Bring it back with Adam Thielen min $5,800 RB Marshawn Lynch Oak $7,200 Def Oakland Raiders $5,300 Marshawn Lynch piled up 18 carries in the Raiders opener against the Titans while averaging a solid 4.2 yards per carry. Lynch and the Raiders will have their home opener in Week 2 with a matchup against the Jets. The Jets allowed 190 rushing yards to the Bills in Week 1 and should have a hard time stopping Lynch and the excellent Raiders offensive line from moving the ball on the ground. The Raiders defense forced the 2nd most turnovers in the league last season, and working with a lead as a 2 touchdown favorite, they should have some opportunities for forced turnovers against Josh McCown, who threw a pair of picks in Week 1. RB Melvin Gordon lack $7,600 Def Los Angeles Chargers $4,300. Is it just me, or does anyone else think of the Clippers instead of the Chargers when you see the lack abbreviation anyway? The Chargers will face the Dolphins, who will be playing in their first game of the season while traveling across the country to LA. The Dolphins allowed the 3rd most rushing yards and tied for the highest yards per carry, 4.8 allowed last season. Meanwhile, Melvin Gordon had 23 touches for 79 yards and a TD reception in Week 1 and will monopolize the workload in the backfield as a home favorite. Create optimal FanDuel lineups using our DFS lineup optimizer tool. Greater than Brad Richter is a correspondent at Fantasy Pros and a contributor at Daily Overlay and Going for Two. For more from Brad, you can view his archive or follow him at RotoPilot.